guys, welcome to today's very impromptu video. So long story short, I've been vlogging today. I wasn't planning on filming this video that you're watching right now, but I've gotten a million questions either on Instagram, here on YouTube, about like how we celebrate the holidays, what we believe as Christians. Do we do Santa? Do we do no Santa? How do we do like the magic of Christmas? Like what are our takes, our traditions, all of those things about Christmas. So I figured the kids are doing quiet time now, Jackson's asleep, I can maybe chat with you guys really quick about it and just have like a dedicated video on where we're at in terms of celebrating Christmas. So with that being said, we're just gonna chit chat a little bit. I would recommend not watching this with your kids around because we are gonna talk about Santa and how we do those things and gifts. So you might want to just like put your headphones in or just wait till they're not around. But I guess, I don't know, this could be really rambly. I guess we'll start with the fact that yes, I am a Christian. I am Catholic, and of course, I believe that the number one priority and the reason why we have Christmas at all is to celebrate the birth of our Savior, to celebrate the birth of Jesus. That is what Christmas is about. Christmas is also about, you know, spending time with your families and slowing down, in my opinion. Trying to, right? It's hard. We'll get to that because yes, Christmas has been very commercialized, but it is about, you know, slowing down, spending time with your family, making memories. It's about love. It's about generosity, because at the end of the day, like Jesus Christ was the greatest gift that we were ever given, that we will ever be given. So when I think of Christmas, I think about trying to tie in any little bit of like the more commercialized things into like, how does it relate to Jesus? How does it put our eyes and our focus back on Jesus and on those things that I just talked about, love, generosity. So we try to do all those things as Christians and teach our kids about that. But I am a big believer in like having our kids believe in Santa and having our kids, you know, just like dive into that magic, that innocence that like they're only going to have for a little while. And I never in a million years thought that that would be like a controversial thing, but it seems like these days, like the more I guess like people are able to share their thoughts and social media, the more that we see how people celebrate and how people celebrate in different ways, like it's become more of a thing. And especially among Christians, which I mean is mind-boggling to me, like just like how much like, I don't know, back and forth there is, and like, I can't believe you do this, I can't believe you do that. It's kind of crazy. So I just want to put a little disclaimer here. I'm not here to shame how you do Christmas or how you celebrate Christmas, or to shame you if you choose to do things differently than I do. If you decide that you don't want to tell your kids that about Santa, you don't want to do Santa, then that's for you to decide. That's your family. I honestly do not care whether or not you do that. The only thing I care about honestly is like other kids like ruining it for my kids. Then I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be pretty pissed, because if you choose not to do that, like don't ruin it for the kids that do. But I grew up, like let's backtrack. I grew up believing in Santa. I grew up being told that Santa brings you gifts, and I grew up I remember just the magic. And when I say magic, I guess let's backtrack to that, okay? Because you'll hear me say the magic of Christmas. What I mean by that is not like practical magic. It's not like witchcraft. I've been very vocal here on my channel about like occult ties and witchcraft and spells. All of those things are not good things. All of those things are things that I try to stay very much away from. Anything that has to do with, like I said, spells, witchcraft, that kind of magic is a no-go as a Christian. But when I say magic of Christmas, it's like, you know, like all of the, I don't know, what is there a better word for it? Like all of the specialness about Christmas. I think it's fun to create that kind of an atmosphere for the kids around Christmas time. Now I'm like already lost on where I am. Anyway, I grew up believing in Santa. I remember like waking up, you know, Christmas morning and just that specialness in the air of being excited to see what Santa had left me. Christmas Eve, we would leave out the milk and the cookies, and you know, we would set out food for the reindeer. Like I even have home videos of us doing that when we were little that Mimi would record. And there was just something really beautiful about that. The nostalgia of it, the tradition of it. We would always go to church Christmas Eve. Like that was not left out of our tradition. We would always go to church, and then we would go to someone's house. We would spend time with family, and then we would come home, do all of the prepping for Santa. And then Christmas morning was spent with our family and, you know, seeing what Santa left us. And it was fun. It was fun. Some of the best memories of my entire life. It's a feeling that, I don't know, like you can't really like put into words. It's kind of weird and corny, honestly, but I love that. I love that. And so when I had kids, I still wanted to be able to give that to them, because in my opinion, like, our kids are little for just such a short amount of time. They're not even going to believe for all that long, because like as time goes by, like kids find out sooner and sooner and sooner, and again, kids ruin it for other kids, and you know, they're exposed to things, they see videos, they see things. But I wanted to give that to them, and in a way it's just part of their innocence. It's a part of the fact that their childhood, like I want to give my kids a childhood, and I want it to be different from adulthood. So when I think of this time, like I want the innocence, the being naive, the being, you know, just in this magical little bubble of all of the beautiful, like magical special things about Christmas, because eventually that bubble's gonna pop. And then before you know it, they're gonna be adults. And like, we've been there, we became adults, and then we're like, what the heck is this? This is crap. Like, you know, then you're boggled with all of the things that come with adulthood, and like, real life is hard. Real life sucks sometimes. So I want them to enjoy their youth and their innocence, like as long as they possibly can. And I know that that's not just tied to Christmas. I know that you can still give your kids a childhood even without Santa. I get all of that. You don't have to go crazy attacking me in the comments, but that's just how I feel about it. Like, I've seen a lot of people say, you know, I don't want to lie to my kids, and like lying is bad. Yes, lying about like serious things is bad, but I don't think you're like creating trust issues with your kids by trying to, you know, have them enjoy this special time in their childhood believing in Santa. Like, I don't in any way like hold a grudge towards my parents for telling me that Santa was real and then one day finding out that, you know, it wasn't. Like, I don't have any childhood trauma from that. Maybe some people do, but I really enjoyed that time. And then yes, as you get older, then you're like, oh, okay, well, why did my parents do that? Like, my parents did that because of all the reasons that I'm explaining here, that like they wanted that for me. So I'm not mad at them for that. Now, there are people with valid concern. Like, the more valid concern to me is the fact that like you don't want for Jesus to be overshadowed by Santa. You don't want Jesus to be left out. You don't want all the focus to be on Santa, which is a great point of conversation, which is a great thing to want, because again, we as Christians, like, that is the most important thing. And that's not just the most important thing like just on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. Like, that's the most important thing the entire year, our entire life. So the focus should always be on Jesus, not just during Christmas time. So I do think it's important that we just try to focus on Jesus. So make sure that you're going to church, right? If you're not going to church and you're just handing out presents and you're just taking pictures with Santa, then maybe there's a problem there, right? If Christmas is just about food and pictures and gifts, then yes, that's the kind of thing that we're trying to avoid. But I do think that you can do both. I think that you can focus on Jesus, make Jesus the center of your Christmas, and also have your kids believe in Santa and do that as well. I think personally, my conviction is that if you are doing it correctly, if you are doing it right in terms of like teaching your kids about Christ and the importance of him and everything we do, and the fact that Christmas is about Jesus being born and the greatest gift that we've been given, if you're doing it right, there is no possible way that Santa can overshadow Jesus. Like, there's no way that he can be overshadowed by anything. He can't be overshadowed by a fat guy in a suit, like, who gives out gifts. I personally don't think it's possible if you're doing it the right way. Now, if the priorities are skewed, and again, if there's not enough focus on Jesus, then sure, then it's easy to kind of get lost in it. And I've been there before. So this isn't me just like being holier than thou, like, oh, you know, you need to do it better. Like, I've been there. I've had other seasons in my life, again, even raised as a Catholic, where some of Jesus and the meaning has been kind of forgotten about. But I see it as just a challenge to do better, all of us. So how can we do that? Like, one of my favorite traditions that we started, and I'm not sure if we started it last year or the year before, but I've done this with the kids, is on Christmas, we bake a cake for Jesus for his birthday, and we sing happy birthday to Jesus. That's not something that I grew up doing in my family, but it's something that I wanted to do every year with the kids, because it gives us a minute to just like all remember, like, hey, it's a birthday. Like, it's Christmas, it's fun, but it's a birthday. It's Jesus's birthday, so let's celebrate him. So that's something that I think is just a cute tradition and a cute way to, you know, bring it back to the meaning. This year, we're also doing those Advent blocks that I showed you guys. So every night we've been reading through like this little Advent devotional with the kids, and there's like these cute little blocks, and then every day you move the star, and it's really cute. And it gets us, honestly, like all of us as a family, like Joe, myself, like the kids, gets us to slow down and to focus on like why this whole month is important and like what it's all leading up to. So we've been enjoying that. You know, has Christmas been commercialized? It absolutely has. It is annoying, and I totally get it. It's annoying that the season seems and tends to be just about spending money and buying people things. But at the same time, I do think that like we put a lot more pressure on ourselves than we need to sometimes. Like, if you don't want the season to be all about gifts, then like don't make it that way. Like, you can also like, you can do things within your family, within your home, to focus on the things that you choose and want to focus on. So if the stress of the buying presents and the being at all the events and doing all the crafts, like if that stresses you out and doesn't allow you to enjoy your family and enjoy the season, then choose to not do some of those things and say no to some of those things. Because if it's not like allowing you to enjoy the season, then like what's the freaking point? Like, what is the point of going to all the things if then you're gonna be stressed and you're not gonna like the whole month of December? If the gift giving thing again is like a point of stress, maybe again just like make it a point to say, you know what, this year y'all are getting gift cards, or you know what, don't get me a gift because I'm not gonna do gifts this year. Like, buy me some groceries if you really want to get me something, get me some bread, get me some flour. Sometimes we just like have to step back. Like, I'll tell you, this year, like I'm all about all of the Christmas things for the kids. I will get the kids 5,000 toys if I can. Like, I'm all about doing all of the things for the kids. But when it comes to like the adults in the family, like this year, I've been like, I don't want to do it. Does that make me a Grinch? Like, I don't want to buy the adults in my family gifts that like they don't need, or that they don't necessarily want, or like this obligation of like, I've got to get you a gift, but I don't know what to get you, and then it's gonna be something stupid, or like people giving me a list of like what they want, and then it's like, then you already know what you're getting. Like, it's dumb. What's the point? Like, then just like maybe we don't get each other anything, and then you buy yourself what you want, I buy myself what I want. So this year it's very likely that my family will just be getting a gift card from me. And you know what, I'm not going to stress myself out by going to the stores. I'm not going to stress myself out, you know, trying to figure out what they want. Or here you go, here's some money, you can go buy groceries if you want, you can go buy some gas money, here you go. Probably what I'm gonna do, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to enjoy my time and the season and spend time with my kids. So I think a lot of it just has to do with you figuring out what your priorities are as a family, and then like doing, again, the things that are gonna be good for you and your family. But the whole thing is just wild to me, honestly. Like, the whole thing, the whole fact that like people celebrate Christmas different, and that, you know, like I said, Christians celebrate differently, is very weird to me, because I grew up, like, as dumb as it sounds, I grew up just thinking that everybody celebrated Christmas the same, like the exact same way. I didn't think that there was any difference, except that I remember I went to public school until I was like in 7th grade. So like all in elementary school, we would celebrate Christmas, but we also had a couple kids in my class that were Jewish, and during the holiday season, like, you know, they would talk to us about Hanukkah, and I remember like they would even bring in their dreidels and like show us like the stuff that they did, and like bring in even like some of their foods that they would eat. It wasn't until very later on in my life that I learned, like honestly, like very recently, that even Christians do Christmas differently. Like, some people do Santa, some people don't. Some people celebrate Saint Nicholas and they only do Saint Nicholas, or there's like, I think, a Saint Nicholas Day, and some people don't do that. Like, I didn't grow up celebrating Saint Nicholas. I knew who Saint Nicholas was, which again goes back to like why we kind of celebrate Santa, and just the fact that, like, you know, here's a very generous man. So I knew of St. Nicholas, which by the way, on, what is it? On Yippee. I think it's on Yippee. There's a Veggie Tales episode on St. Nicholas that I'm gonna have the kids watch because I think that'll be a good way to kind of tie the two together, like Santa and St. Nicholas. But some people do that, and then some people like do, like I said, no Santa. What is it that other people do? Like the whole gifts, like some people only have like a couple gifts that are from Santa. Some people like all of the gifts were from Santa. Like that's how I grew up. I grew up every gift that was under the tree on Christmas morning was from Santa. There was no like my parents buying me gifts. It was all from Santa. And then I think it was when I married Joe, like when I got together with Joe, that I realized that some families do it different, because he, like his parents would buy him most of their gifts, and then there were a couple gifts that were left out and unwrapped from Santa. That I didn't do it that way. So I was like, what? And then recently, like again on social media and just seeing like some of these conversations happening online, there are people that do things very differently. And I did grow up for, I think, a few years, if not like most of the years when I was young. We used to do in our family like the Dia de los Reyes Magos, like the, what do you call them? Like the Wise Men Day. So I think it's like sometime in January. I obviously don't even know, but it was like sometime in January where you would leave out your shoes and like a gift would be in your shoes. Maybe I'm the only insane one who participated in that, but it was like a gift left by the wise men. We used to do that. We haven't done it with our kids. Maybe we will start. I don't know. If you guys have any other like fun traditions that you want to share, again, please feel free to add to the conversation. I just don't want it to be nasty because again, like I said, I don't care what you do. It's just interesting to me that people do it differently. And I don't know. I personally I want my kids to be kids as long as they can be. And I know that I'll get people saying, well, they can be kids and they don't have to believe in Santa. Sure, okay, maybe. But I think it's a part of like, just, I don't know. It's a part of like, it was a part of my childhood, I guess. So it's easier for me to say like, it was a part of my childhood. I want to be able to give that to them. Maybe if I grew up also not having had that in my life, it would be like it wouldn't be an issue because I didn't grow up being used to it. So yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions. You know, we've been going to church every Sunday leading up to Christmas. Like we go to church every Sunday, but like we've been enjoying the Advent season, the 4 weeks up until Christmas, and like the lighting of the Advent candle. And this year I didn't put out an Advent wreath or an Advent candle situation just because we're gonna be leaving now to Miami. So otherwise I would have set one up so that we could do it like the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas and light the candle. I think that's something nice to have displayed in your home that again gets the focus to be on Jesus. I've been doing my devotional. I also bought like my own personal adult devotional from a company called Blessed Is She. But last year I did one from the Daily Grace Co. That was also really good. So finding time in my day to reflect on the season. There's also in the Hallow app, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's like a Catholic app that you can download on your phone. They have daily readings, they have all these things. But if you've ever watched The Chosen, they have a like Advent, I don't know what they call it, but it's like a Pray With Us challenge where the actual actors that play the characters in The Chosen, they each, like every day, there's like somebody reading a prayer and like a reflection. So I've been doing that, and then on top of that, just like the daily readings and reflections in Hallow. So I think that there's definitely ways, you guys, and again, a big focus of it being on charity and giving. So like this year, I just told you guys in the vlog that I filmed, I'm not sure if you've seen it already, but I had the kids participate in like a toy drive where we went and we picked out toys for other kids in our community. So just teaching them about giving back, I think, is important, because yes, it's fun to, you know, write your letter to Santa, and yes, it's fun to you know, sit on Santa's lap and tell him what you want for Christmas, and just the excitement that comes with that, and circling the toy catalogs of what you want. Like all of that is fun, but I also want them to know that the season isn't just about getting, that it's also about giving. So I'm hoping I didn't miss too much, and I hope that, again, that answered some of the questions about it. I know that there's a lot of back and forth about it, but my recommendation would be just to pray about it. And I would imagine that if there are certain circumstances where, like, if you're somebody that, like, you can't participate in any of the commercialness of it, like, if by participating in the commercialness of it, that's a word, right? Participating in that kind of stuff really does take your eyes off of Christ, then by all means, I'm sure if you took that to prayer, you would be convicted that, you know, perhaps you need to just X that completely so you can focus on Christ and focus on the season. But I do think that there's ways that some people can do both. And like I said, I think if you're doing it correctly, that there's no way that it can be overshadowed. Because if it can be overshadowed during Christmas time, like if Jesus Christ can be overshadowed by Christmas time and by Santa and by presents and by trees, like if he can be overshadowed by all of that, then what's not to say that he could be overshadowed by just like daily life and all the things that happen, like birthdays and celebrations and graduations and just the everyday hustle and bustle. Like I think we have to be able to be completely focused on the Lord, and then also like enjoy some fun things too, but making sure we tie it all back to Christ, and that everything we have and everything we do is thanks to Jesus, is thanks to God. You know, I'm kind of bringing it full circle. So I think that's where I'm gonna end today's video. I hope I didn't make anybody too mad. That's just my feelings. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening. And again, feel free to share anything that you want to down below in the comments. But I love you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.